So GitHub is where you're gonna store all your projects. It's gonna be your repository of code. This is my GitHub. Don't ignore my crazy picture. And I have 22 repositories. These are all the little projects that I'm working on and all the code that I pushed up to these repositories. Let's look at this. This has all my projects in here, all the folders in here, and all my code, So if I ever need something, I can just download this on another computer and work on it. And it makes it so that I can work from anywhere and I can push up code and I can work with different people, which is really important when you're working in a team. This is going to be super vital for working in the tech industry. Everyone uses GitLab, GitHub. It's all the same. You're going to need to learn how to use this if you want to work in the tech industry. So we're going to create an account real quick, sign in, sign up. Enter your email. I'm going to use a burner email that I use. It's right here, I believe. Here. Not what it. Fairview care at gmail.com. This is an old email that I used for one of my past companies. Create a password. Everybody knows my password. I'm going to say mailbox 01 exclamation point. Now you're okay with it. Let's see. Enter username. I'm going to say Joshua. And would you like to receive product information? No. Start puzzle. Spiral Galaxy. Spiral Galaxy. Create account. Okay, we sent a launch code to your email. This one. Refresh. GitHub. Boom. I think just like this. One, 4, 2, 4, 2, 8, 8, 2. No. 2. Come on. 8, 2. What is going on? 4, 2, 8, 2. Cool. And now it will bring me to my dashboard. All right, this is what a blank GitHub account will look like. Is everybody following so far?
Yes.
Cool. Now we're gonna need to configure our GitHub account. All right. Let me just stop sharing my screen for a second. And I'm going to bring up a terminal. So if you're running Windows, open up Windows PowerShell. If you're running Mac, open up Terminal. I'm just going to Set this up real quick. Share screen. Screen two. Can everybody see this? Yeah, cool. All right, so we're gonna need to configure our GitHub account. All right. So when we open our terminal, we should see this in PowerShell, which means we're on our base directory. If you're on a Mac, you will see just your username. It should say, well, it says on mine, Joshua-Air, which is on my MacBook Air, and then the dash sign, Joshua Immordino. So everyone should see something similar. Does everybody see that? I'll take your silence as cool.
Yes, yes, we do.
I'm gonna open the chat and have it to the side. All right. So we're gonna type in this first command. I'm gonna put it inside the chat so everybody can type it. We're gonna write that command, then we're gonna write the quotation marks, and then write our username that we've created before in GitHub. They don't have to exactly match, just make sure you put in a username. So it should look like that. And once you've done that, you can write this command to check that it's correct. So I'll run this command right now, and you'll see the response, Joshua Immordino. Does everybody get that so far? I'll let you run the command and get back to me. It might take a couple minutes or a minute or two.
We're typing it exactly like the Mona Lisa, or we like put.
No, you write your own username where the Mona Lisa would be. So I wrote the command in the chat. You write the first part of the you copy that command into the chat, into the terminal, and then you write a quotation marks, you write your username, and then you close quotation marks, and then you press enter. All right. Is everyone okay? Has everyone got that?
Once I enter it, it just like says Ryanair, and then
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah, so then to confirm it, I'll give you the command to confirm that you've done it correctly. Run this command. It's actually the same command, but without the username, and it should return the username back to you, like it did on my screen. Okay. Did everybody get that?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So we're gonna run another command. If you look at my screen, we're gonna run this command right here. Git config global user email, and then we're gonna place in the quotation marks our email that we set up with GitHub. All right. This is gonna configure the email with GitHub and our computer. I'm getting a red. Did you install Git, Matthew? Okay. So Matthew, do you feel comfortable sharing your screen? And we're gonna install Git together. What about that? Does that sound cool? Just because there might be other people that have not downloaded Git and they don't want to speak up, which is totally fine, but we need Git to move forward. Do you have a Mac or do you have a PC? Perfect. All right, I'm gonna send the link. Please open the link and click on Windows. And let me know when the download it has completed. Or the installer has downloaded. For everyone else that has already installed Git and typed in this command that I'm putting on the screen right now, if you run this command again, it will return your email. And if you can give me a confirmation of some type that it's working properly, that'd be great. This way, I know everyone is doing okay, and I am not too worried about the entire class. That'd be awesome. Up to speed so far. Thank you, Davin. Appreciate it, man. Ryan, how about you? You doing okay?
So I did the global user email and then quote unquote my email.
Mm-hmm.
What do I put after that?
You say quote your email and then quote after. You press enter, and then to check that it's entered correctly, you type this command into the terminal. It's the same command as before, but just without the quotation marks. And I'll show you a little trick about the terminal. To get back old commands, all you have to do is press the up arrow on your keyboard. See?
Wait, would I copy the global user email?
So do this for me, Ryan. Hit the up arrow. You see the commands, right?
Nope.
Nope. All right, that's fine. I'll paste it inside the chat. Just paste that inside of your terminal, and it should respond back with the email that you used to configure it with.
Okay.
Matthew,
no.
are you
No.
good to go? Yep,
That worked.
it worked. Perfect. Thank you. Matthew, did you download the installer? Cool. Do you want to share your screen and maybe we can walk through the installation real quick? Vanessa, can you share her screen? Let me unshare mine. Now, remember, Matthew, this is a recorded session. If you do anything on your screen that you don't want us to see or anyone else to see, make sure you only share the screen that you want us to see. Thank you. Cool. Okay. You can close that Git GUI. Where's the installer that was downloaded? Can you go to your downloads tab in your file explorer? Cool. Just click next. Yep, click next. 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 Install. Wait, what did it say? Continue. Ah, yeah, close that. Perfect. Sure, press finish. Cool, now it's installed. So let's try to run those commands now, Matthew. All right, so I'm gonna say them to you and maybe you can type them out in your, yep. It was git space config space, yep. Global space user.name. And then space quotation marks and write your username. Cool. Now press the up arrow and delete the quotation marks. Just everything in the quotation marks delete. Just press the delete key. Delete, delete, delete. Yep, all that. Keep going. Keep deleting. I'm sorry, I can't hear you, Matt. You're trying to talk. Okay. Let me just place it in the chat. What you need to type.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. You're good. Type that command.
Oh, okay.
Cool, perfect. And now type this command that I just put in the chat and then follow that with a quotation marks with the username that you intend to use for GitHub in the future. Or if you already have a GitHub with that GitHub.
And then enter my email.
Yeah, so make a space and then quotation marks.
Okay.
And then enter your email. You can stop sharing your screen if you don't want us to know your email. It's up to you.
That would be a good thing here.
Okay,
Thank you.
no problem. All right, now that we have that all sorted out, let's talk about keeping your work neat. All right. Everybody can see my mouse, right? And my screen. Okay. This is my computer. I have a very specific space for everything, you know? I don't want to have files all over the place, especially if I need them. And if we're making a project, I want to have all those files in one place. So let's all create a coding club folder somewhere that you'll be able to find it. Mine's inside school, and I created another folder called coding club. And all your projects for this, for the meetings that we're going through, all your projects that you'll be doing personally that I'll help you with, I would prefer if they're in a single folder called coding club. So if you're going to do a new project, you create a new folder and say new folder, or if you're on a Mac, pretty sure it's a similar process to create a new folder. Lesson 2, right? So let's let's look at some code that I have written for this class. All right, I think we got everything out of the way with Git. Let me just check. Just check my list. Git add push. We'll do this a little bit later. That's fine. Cool. Let's close all this. Close all this. Close all this. Oh, I kind of do that. Let's go to repositories. Coding Club Week 1 and share this inside the chat. Okay. Let's open up this. If everyone can open up this link that I sent you, it'd be really awesome. This is some basic code that we're gonna look through initially, and we're gonna kind of get a hang of CSS. Actually, I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna step back for 1 second, and I just want to make sure everybody is on the same page with VS Code. We all have VS Code downloaded, correct? Right? That was supposed to be 2 weeks ago. So we're going to want to click on this extensions. I just want to make sure we all have the same extensions downloaded because it's going to make your life a lot easier when coding. That's the whole point of these extensions, is to help you do autocompletes, help you build projects. These extensions are really going to make VS Code separate VS Code from being like a basic text editor. These are like little programs that people have created to help you out. All right, so I want you guys to follow me and download the same packages that I have downloaded. So everybody click on this little square right here on the left-hand side and search for extensions in Marketplace. The first one we're going to do is HTML boilerplate. And we will click the install button, which will install it. If HTML snippets also shows up, I will want you to download that as well. HTML CSS support. I'll type these all in the chat so you can find them. And then the last one is going to be live server. This one right here. Does everyone have any questions on downloading these packets, these extensions? Cool, good. All right. So let's walk back. Maybe I should just give a brief overview on. Can everyone else hear me, or am I breaking up?
You're good.
Okay, perfect. Now, did everybody create that folder where we're going to keep all our other work? We can hear you, but it does happen slightly. Okay. Let me know if I am breaking up, and I will repeat myself if I need to. It's no problem, Joffrey. I'm going to keep moving forward because Joffrey is another co-instructor, and he doesn't really need this as much as you guys. Did everybody create that folder where we're going to store all our projects? Remember, it was
Yes.
Coding Club. Cool. Let's create a new folder inside that. Move this real quick. Create a new folder, and we will call it. I'm gonna call this one. It doesn't matter what you call it, as long as you're able to find it. I'm gonna call it today's date, which is 13/21. Right. Now we're gonna open up VS Code, and we're gonna say open folder, and we're gonna click on this folder. Let me just open up. Cool. Is everybody on the same page as me?
You just want to name it the date today?
You can name it whatever you want. Just make sure you know what the name is and you're able to find it. I have Windows. Can you walk me through? Okay, yeah, I was on Windows myself. So where do you, Sabrina? Go open your file explorer, which is this little folder down here. I would go to some place where you have the rest of your documents, like documents, or wherever you want to keep your folders, and then right click, and then in this menu there's new, and you hit folder, and the new folder will show up, and all you have to do is type in the name of the folder. So coding club. Cool. I am breaking up. Can you yeah. Can everybody hear me fine?
Sounds
Okay.
good.
Okay. Sabrina, now click on the folder you just made. Mine's called Coding Club. And right click and make another folder inside of it. That will be the project for today. You can name it whatever you want. I named mine today's date. It's right here. And it's empty, right? Once you're at that point, we can open up VS Code. And we can open up that folder with the open folder action in the file tab. So you click on open folder, you find the folder, you click select folder, and it will bring you to this folder right here in VS Code. Has everybody got that? Cool.
Yep.
All right, so now we're going to create a new file inside of VS Code, inside this folder. The quick way that you can do this is that if you see where my pointer is, where it says 10, 13, 21, there's a little plus button. They're like little like icons over here. This one's for a new file. This one's for a new folder. This one's to refresh. All right. So we're gonna click the first one to the left, and it will help us make a new file, and we'll call that index.html. The reason that we're calling it index.html is because in web practices, we search for the index as the root of our project, or like the starting point of our project. It's just best practices. You don't have to name an index, but it is a good practice to get behind. All right. Last week we were talking about yep. You can also press Control-N to create a new file, like Joffrey said last week. Once we've created the index file, can you all give me like a thumbs up or a yes if you all made the file already? Cool. We're gonna just type HTML, right? And all these options come up. I'm going to click on this one. It says HTML5 boilerplate. That's the extension that we downloaded earlier in the session. And it gives us a ready to go boilerplate. I'm going to walk you through this boilerplate real quick. And we're just gonna go over some of the topics that we went over last week. So this first tag is a way that the browser knows that this file is about to be HTML. All right. It's very important. It needs to be there at the beginning of every tag. All right. Don't worry about those other ones. This next tag lets the browser know that we're about to insert HTML. Most tags that you will deal with will have a beginning and an end. And I'm just going to show you that real quick. Sorry about that. A beginning and an end. And everything between these two tags is inside of this tag. I know that kind of is redundant, but it will make a little more sense in the future, right? So next we have the head tag. The head carries metadata, which is, it helps the browser learn more about the file that you're passing to it. Okay. None of this is really that important for creating applications or websites. They're good to learn about, but we don't need to learn about them right now. All right.
Wait, I have
Next.
a question.
Yeah, no problem.
You just clicked HTML, right?
HTML5 boilerplate. You see that?
Yep.
Cool. Did you get the same thing I got?
Yeah. I thought it was different because like it had different colors, but it's the same.
Yeah, you can pick what colors you want. My colors are a little bit different. Maybe I should change them back so that we're all on the same page. Did everybody need that, or can everybody kind of get where I'm at without the
That's cool.
colors?
I got it.
Okay. What's really important inside of this head tag is this link right here. This link is how we speak to other files within our folder. All right. This link specifically is looking for a style sheet. The style sheet is a CSS file that tells our browser how to style our components, right? So now we have the closing head tag, which contains all this information, all right? Next, we have the body tag, all right? The body tag is the first tag that will tell the browser, display all the information inside here as visual information, all right? Anything that we type inside the body will show up on the browser. All right, last week, we went over some basic tags like H1, right? Where we can say hello, or P, which is also a text tag. And we also can say hello, all right? And we also went over the image tag, where we can place an image. All right, does that make sense to everybody? Does everyone remember that from last week? Does everybody want to see this being rendered? Is anybody interested in that? Because it's kind of all boring to a degree. Not boring, but it's, oh, okay, we'll show it. Open with live server. And we get hello, hello. We don't get the image because we didn't place an image in there. But we're going to start moving on to some other tags, all right? Some more important tags, all right? Before you saw me write a div tag, right? The div tag is very important for coding in HTML. The div tag is a container tag. It contains other items like the body, like the head tag, but it contains items that you can see, right? We also can style the div tag to be any shape or container on the screen, all right? So let's say background color black and width 100 pixels. Height 100 pixels. Okay. And live server. And now we have this little black box. All right. I understand. Let me see if I can put these side to side because this is probably way too big for you guys anyways. Can everybody see the text on my screen and the browser? Fine. I can make the text bigger if we need to make it bigger. I understand. I'm working on a bigger screen, so sometimes it's hard to read the text. Okay, it seems like I don't know if these are new yes. Yeah, these are all new yeses. All right, cool. Yes, you can see it, or yes, you need to make it bigger. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure you guys are really getting this.
Yeah, I can't really see that well.
Okay, I can make it bigger for you. Control plus. What about now?
Yeah, it's better. Thank you.
Cool. All right. So now we see that I styled this box with styles that are right here, right? But that's not really convenient for us, right? That's kind of a bad place to put our styles, mostly because we're gonna have a lot of code and there's gonna be a lot of styles there, and it's just not gonna be very readable. And I don't want to keep writing my styles in on my HTML. So I'm gonna delete those. I'm gonna open up this, and I'm gonna create a new file like we created a new file before. And I'm gonna call it index.css. Has everybody got that?
Yep.
Cool. So I'm gonna go back to my index.html. Remember I told you about the link tag. This link tag has a rel named style sheet. So if we want to connect our HTML to our style sheet, we need to put it here in the href. All right. So I'm going to add it right there. This lets the HTML know there's a style sheet attached to this HTML. So everything inside the style sheet will style the HTML in the index.html. Does everybody get that?
Can you explain that again?
Yeah, no problem. So we understand what the link tag does, right? The link tag lets the HTML know that there are other files that it needs to run the HTML, right? So it's like let's say you're reading a book, right? And we run across a word that we don't understand. We would look outward, right? To find that word. We would look in the dictionary or on Google, right? This link is that connection to the Google, you know? If we have a div here and we have no style for it, then it will just be a blank page. But if I write in my index a context for that div, a style for that div, it will style it for me. Do you get that? Cool. All right. So there are different ways we can style things in CSS. There are different ways that we can select things for styling. Okay. One of those ways is we can style a tag. So an H1 tag or a div tag or a body tag. All right. So let's start by styling a div tag, right? So the way we do that is we write div. We're just trying to get the tag. And then we write curly brackets. Has everybody got that so far?
Yep.
Cool. And I want to set a width and a height for this. So I write width, colon, and then I set the width for it. So I'm gonna write 100 pixels. In CSS, we can use different forms of measurements. There's pixels, there's percentage, there's also something called VW, okay? So percentage stands for, let's say when we're saying 100%, we're saying 100% of the parent element. So if a div is inside of a body and the body is the whole screen, we're saying 100% of the screen, right? But if we say 100 VW, we're saying view widths. So we're saying view the screen and go 100% of the screen, all right? But for right now, let's stick with pixels because that's a very finite value, right? So we're gonna say 100 pixels. Then we're gonna do a semicolon. We're gonna also set a height of 100 pixels. And finally, we're gonna set a background color of, you can choose any color you want. I'm gonna choose black because it's gonna be easy to see. And we can see that now a black box, a black div with a width of 100, a height of 100, and the color black is shown on the screen. Does everybody get that? I know this is very simplistic way of designing, but we really need to have a strong root in CSS and HTML before we can move forward. So if you feel like I'm going a little too slow, let me know. I can move a little bit faster, but I think I'm going the proper speed for everybody in this meeting right now. Is that okay?
Yep.
Cool. Thank you. All right. Now I'm going to show you something a little bit different. Now let's say we have multiple divs on this screen, right? I'm going to put a break in there. So we can look. Yeah. Okay. So we have two black boxes now, right? And this is kind of the reason that we don't use tags normally in CSS, because how do you open LiveServe? Oh, I'm sorry. You go to the root file, which is the index.html, right click on it, and then click open with live server. Tell me when you have it, Sabrina. Sabrina, is it working? Yep, cool. Thank you. All right. So the reason that we don't use this style of selecting that often is because we'll use multiple items multiple times throughout an HTML file. And we don't want to necessarily give the same styles to every single one. Like, so if I change this to blue, they'll both be blue, and I don't want that. You know, I want them to be different. So we can do something different, right? We can add something behind this div tag called class. Now, the class differentiates this from other divs. So you might have multiple divs, but you only have one div with this class right now, right? So if I give it a class of redbox, and I come here, I write a period, and then I write the same class name, which is redbox, and I give it a background color of red. I'm just gonna copy this. Red. and now one is red. Does everybody got that? Everybody understanding the reason we would use class? Ryan, I'm gonna ask you because I know you're smart and I want to make sure everybody has it. When would we use when would we use class compared to regular the div tag in CSS? No problem. So that's fine. We would use class when we want to differentiate this div from other divs, right? See how this div has a class of red box and this div has a class of nothing, doesn't have any class. This way in the CSS, we can differentiate this class, this div from this div. It's very important when we're coding because we don't want to have the same styles for every div that we create. Some divs are going to be different than other divs, right? Does everyone kind of get that? You can say yes or no. I'll go over it again if you say no. Sort of. Okay. I think it says for divider. Joffrey, you there? I should probably know this. Division. Ah. There we go. Cool. So divs are kind of like of a hard concept to grasp, you know. Like why would we use divs? Let's say we wanted to build a component, right? And what do I mean by component? Let's look at dribble.com. Okay, for example, you see how all these components are boxes? All these would be divs. And the only way that we can create the base layer of these components is using a div. So div is kind of like one of the main building blocks for HTML. It's super important to understand. It's going to be one of the most used tags that you use in HTML. Everybody getting that? Cool. So there's class, but we also have ID. All right. And I'm gonna name this green box. Okay. This is another way that we differentiate different elements from other elements. All right. We can select an ID in CSS by using a hashtag. All right. And you're probably wondering right now, like, why would we use ID or why would we use class? Like, what's the difference between the both? All right. And try to think of it like this. There are sometimes reusable components in reusable components in HTML. You know, sometimes we reuse things because it's very it's just easier. So let's say we make a button and that button is the same button for the whole entire site. Then we would use class. So we can reduplicate that, you know, many times. It's gonna show it 2 times, but an ID usually is for one specific item. And we don't try to use it that often unless we need a specific item to be styled a specific way. Does everybody get that? Cool. Let's go over some more CSS so we can learn how to style some stuff. And then we'll start moving forward with some more complex HTML. All right. Let's go back to our CSS file and let's go into our red box style. So from this curly bracket to this curly bracket are all the styles that pertain to red box. We all got that? So on a new line, let's define some new characteristics of this red box. So let's say I want the width to be 100 VWs, right? We see how that takes up the whole screen now, right? Except this little box. See this little sliver around? That sliver around is padding and margin from the body. These are inherited styles that come automatically with HTML. And I'm going to show you how to take them away right now. So we're gonna access the body tag, and we're gonna write some styles for the body tag. We're gonna write margin equals 0. And now we see how that style is taken away. So we can play around with this a bit. Let's say margin equals 10 pixels. See how it's slowly gaining space. The margin literally just stands for the margin that's been placed around every image, every object within the body tag. So I don't really want any margin because I want my object to touch the walls of the HTML of the browser. So I'm gonna take away all margin. Is everybody getting that so far? Cool. All right, now we're gonna get back to red box. All right. So now we see that the red box is taking up the whole screen, right? This is a flexible style. So as we move it, it grows and shrinks with us. All right. If I was to go to make this into an iPhone 6, it's the same size. You know, that's really important when we're designing for mobile websites or mobile apps. We don't want to write code twice. You know, we wouldn't want to write code for our browser and then write code for our phones. It just makes double work for us, you know? So I try to use more of these type of measurements than anything else. These are flexible measurements. They are depending on the screen size, VW. That's for width. It stands for view width. So now if we're going to write height, I know like we probably would think we're going to write VW, but that stands for the view height, of view widths. What we want to write is view height, which is VH. Does everybody get that? And see now it takes up 100% of a single screen. Yeah, sure. Actually, you know what? As soon as we get this, we're going to go to my GitHub and I have all the code. And we're going to walk through some code step by step. All right. Right now, all we really have is 2 divs. One with the class of Greenbox, class of Redbox, one with the ID of Greenbox Max. I can see if I can drop you files, maybe. Does anybody else want that? I'm gonna drop the files as they are inside of the inside of the chat right now. School coding club, this one. All right. Those are all the files that this is the like where I'm at right now. Like I just saved this and I just sent it over. Oh, I sent those to Vanessa. I'm sorry. My bad, guys. My bad. Cool. Did you get those, Max?
Yes.
Cool. Cool. Is everybody getting where I'm at so far? Matthew, Davin, Sabrina. Ryan, you good? Cool. All right. So like I said, we want to write flexible styles so that our code changes for different screens, you know? Have you ever been to a website that wasn't written for a smaller screen and you're trying to pinch in, trying to see everything? That's terrible. That's not the way we want to write our code, you know? We right clicked and we opened live server. I think we did it last time, Ryan, remember? Okay. You can talk to me after class if you need to. I'll be on Discord. All right. So I changed this height to 50 VHorts because I didn't want to take up the whole entire screen. Right. And now let's apply these same styles to the screen box. And we see now that we have two just giant boxes. Yeah, it's great. But what does this do for us? I mean, nothing really. Now we just have two green boxes on our screen. We want to start using, delete this. We need to understand flexible CSS, all right? It's called Flexbox. I sent a email on Friday with all the information about it, but we will go over it right now. All right. Has anybody seen a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet before? Or a table of any type, right? In a spreadsheet, let me see if I can open up one. Google, what's it called? Google Sheet. Okay. So we understand that we have rows that go horizontally, and we have columns that go vertically, right? So we have the same concept in HTML and CSS. Does everybody get that? I'm not getting the green. Okay. You know, we got a couple seconds. Ryan, do you want to share your screen real quick? Let's share your screen. Oh, I think I need to stop. I'm sorry. All right. Cool. Okay, let's go to your code real quick. Ryan? Cool. Okay. Okay, let's look at the CSS. Okay, now we see we have an ID for green dash box, right? Now let's go back to let's go to your index.html file. And you gave this an ID of green box. You're missing the dash. Nope, no. You're missing the dash. So delete, that's the hashtag. Delete that hashtag. Yeah. So that's really important that all your code has to match up with each other, or it won't know what it's looking for. It's not like us, and it can't draw context clues. It just knows one is right or one is wrong. Try to run it again and let's see if it works.
Wait, do you want me to close live server and then open it again?
You should be able to refresh it, but let's see. Just go to live server where it's hosted, the browser. And scroll down.
Wait, can you see the red?
Yeah, I can see the red. Scroll down.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Remember, you made both 100 view heights and view widths. That means it's gonna be 100% of the screen and 100% of the width of the screen.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Yeah. So if you wanted to be, if you want to be a little bit easier, you can change the VH 50 VH like Joel said. That means it's gonna be half of the screen. All right. Okay. So I'm gonna go back to Google Sheets. And let's go over this one more time. So we understand rows and columns, right? Like this is a row up. Am I not showing my screen? Sorry, guys. There we go. Everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Cool. So let me just open the chat real quick. Okay. So we understand we have rows and columns, right? In a spreadsheet. These are columns, right? They go vertically, they go down, right? And horizontally, we have rows. And you might say to yourself, like, how does this pertain to web development? Well, if we want to add stuff, we want to have it either in a row or a column. So it's easiest for us to break up the screen into rows and columns. If we think of everything in rows and columns, then it's easier for us to place items, right? It's kind of a difficult concept to think of unless we physically do it. So let's say display flex. And the flex direction is going to be a column. So everything that we place in this inside of this div will be placed vertically in the column. And if we change this to row, everything we place inside this div will be placed horizontally in this div. Does it make sense? So let's start by adding some random stuff in this H1. And then let's place another one. Hello. All right. So we see that these are being placed horizontally next to each other because we have a flex direction of row. But if we change this to column, while I don't have my caps on, they are placed vertically. All right. And now we have to think of everything that we make as a box that is either going to be placed vertically or horizontally, you know? So how do we do that? Like, how do we have to think creatively, you know? So let's say I wanted to place an item in this section of the div, the bottom right section of the div, right? So we can say column reverse, which will start everything on the bottom, right? And then we can make another div inside of this. We'll give it a class of row. We can create a class name row. We'll give it a display of flex and a flex direction of row reverse. And then we'll write each one. Oh. Hello. Maybe because it's row reverse. Let's just try that. Oh, that's why. Let me delete these. Sorry about that. And we have it on the bottom right. Is that going a little too fast for everybody? I could break this down if that was going a little too fast. Don't be scared to. Okay, Matthew, you got it. I'm gonna go over it one more time, so we can go over all the objects inside of the HTML. All right, this red box is a column, so all of its items are going from vertically from top to bottom. All right, but also we gave it a flex direction of column reverse, which means it's going to go from bottom to top. All right. Next, we place a div inside of this column and we named it row. And we gave it a display of flex and the flex direction of row. So everything inside of this item, everything inside of this column, this div will be placed in a row next to each other. So if I kept writing hello, they'll be placed next to each other horizontally. Is everybody getting that? Brian, Sabrina, Joel? Are we sure? Because this is kind of a little bit of a tougher idea, and I don't mind going over it again. I just need you guys to understand this because it's once you understand how to do this, this is kind of one of the harder concepts, and it's kind of easy to create items around the screen once you understand how to put them into rows, into columns. All right. Got it. All right. Everybody says they got it.
Can you just go over again how you got it, like in the bottom?
No problem. No problem. No problem. I'm gonna delete all this and start over again. Okay. Okay. So we understand. I'm gonna delete the green box because we don't need it anymore. Right. So we understand that the red box is a column, right? And everything we place inside the column will be, sorry, each one. Hello. Right? Everything we place inside the column will be placed in vertical order. Right now I have it as set as column reverse. So everything will be reversed. It won't be top to bottom, it will be bottom to top. But if I change that to just regular column, we can see that it starts at the top, right? And then every time I add something to it, every time I add another element to this box, it stacks vertically. The same. Can you put items in a specific spot on the screen with us? Yep, Matthew, you can. Do we get this so far? How everything is being stacked vertically?
And they're
Okay.
being stacked vertically because you put column and index CSS, right?
Exactly, perfect. All right, so now if I want everything stacked vertically, but let's say I want it top to bottom and not bottom to top, I say column, but reverse. And it will start it from the bottom and build it upwards. Does that make sense? Cool. So let's say I want to put a div, right? With a class of row, right? So this div with the class of row is sitting inside. Okay, Jerry, if you need any help, hit me up on Discord, all right? So right now we made a div with a class of row, and the way that we access a class, right, is we write period and then we write the name of the class. So now that I have access to that row, I can give it some style. So let's say background color green, so I can differentiate the row itself. Actually, you know what? Let's give it a border of green. Border. And let's say green 1 pixel solid. I think I did that wrong, but let's see. And we'll give it a width of 10 pixels and a height of 1000 pixels. Let's give you a background color. Okay. So now we see how we have a div inside of a div, right? And this div is just a space. So let's make this div the whole width of this screen, view H. Okay, and now we see how this row is a row within this column, right? So I'm gonna make a couple of these. And I'm just gonna actually put a break in here so you can see. And I'm just gonna stack these up. Right? And I'm gonna put a number in these so we can tell the difference. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is everybody getting that? So now we have divs stacking up from the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And in those divs, we can place items, you know, like this number. Is everybody getting that? Cool. All right, but this div is exactly like every other div. So we can give it the same styles as we gave to the column above, and we can name it a row. So I'm gonna name it, I'm gonna give it the style of flex, display flex, and a row reverse. And now we see all those numbers I put in there are on the opposite side of the row. So if I delete these extra ones, now we see we only have one div. We only have one green div, and the item is stacked all the way to the right. All right. There are other There are other styles that go along with display flex though. Flex direction is just one of them. So let's say we want to just use a regular column, right? We say justify content center. And it places the content in the center of the div. We can also say align items center, which will place it in the center of a row. So we have to know the difference between a row and a justify content, I'm sorry, a row and a column in the way they move. So when we say justify content, we're saying in the middle of the way that this is stacked. So when a row is made, all the items are stacked left to right. So when we say justify content, we're saying in the middle of left to right, we want this center. And when we say justify content in a column, we're saying in the middle of up to down, we want this center. Is everybody getting that? Cool. I know there's a lot of code to be looking at, but this is kind of the basics of Flexbox, which is very important to understand. I sent out a email with all this stuff, but also I'm gonna put it right here. Here's a cheat sheet for Flexbox. So I know you're probably saying this is a lot of information. How do I remember all this stuff? Because I'm never gonna remember, when I need it. I don't remember it either. That's a joke. You can't remember all coding when you need it. That's why we have. Oh, I sent it to Vanessa again. I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm in a constant chat with him. I sent out a link. That's a cheat sheet for Flexbox. Anytime you're lost, just look at this. Save it to your pinned bookmarks up here and use it whenever you need it, So we can see flex direction row reverse, column reverse. We can see wrap reverse. You can see all these things in real time, and you can know which one you have to pick. All right, justify content, center, there's space between, space around, space evenly, flex end, flex start. These are all so that when you are writing code that will be on different screens, it will automatically adjust to that screen. So let's turn these rows into columns. Columns. And we'll change you to 100%. And we'll change you to 10 units. All right. So now let's say I want to add multiple rows. Well, they're still named as rows, but they are columns now. Multiple divs with these last rows in there, right? I have it as a column. I'm going to change this to row. All right. So now we see how they're spaced all together. But so let's say I want it spaced around, space between. All right. We see how it flexibly changes as I change the size of the browser. This is super important, when we are writing code for different browser sizes. All right, are we all getting that? Okay. All right, I'm gonna share some code with you guys. Okay. So let's go back and open up our terminal. Let's save and close this file. Save all and close. And let's open up our terminal. Let me know when everybody's at this point. Cool. All right. I should have guys put all in the same spot. Okay. So let's, now that everybody's closed their VS Code, let's reopen their VS Code. I know that sounds crazy. I should have done this a little better. Let's click on open folder. And let's go to the base folder where we kept all of our projects and click select folder. Let me know when everybody's good to go. You should see all your projects in folders, right? Now let's go to terminal and say new terminal. Let me just try this out real quick before you guys do it. Okay, so we're gonna write this command inside of the terminal and press enter. I'm gonna send it to you guys. Oh, I'm sorry. You go to the terminal and you select new terminal. Once the terminal's open, paste that command into the terminal and press enter. Let me know when you guys get it. So what this is doing is automatically downloading code from my repository. So it's a really easy and fast way to share code with everybody. Yep, paste it into the terminal and press enter. So this is a really easy and fast way to share code with other people. And it's going to be the way that I want to help you guys in the future. I would prefer if we all use GitHub so that if you have a problem, it's easier for me to look through your code on GitHub than it is for me to set up a Zoom session between us. And I can do it on the go, and I can leave comments, and I can message you on Git, and it would be a lot easier if we all learn how to use Git. It's also good to learn how to use Git because it's what you're gonna have to use in the future. So if everybody's got that, typed in that command and press enter, let me know. Okay, everyone's saying, okay, now we're gonna go open folder. We're gonna go to where all our projects are, and we're gonna select Coding Club Week 1 and select a folder. Has everybody got that? Yeah, no problem. You're gonna go to File, Open Folder. You're gonna find where where all your projects are stored, which should be in the place that we were just at. And you're gonna select Coding Club Week 1 and then open that folder. Okay. I'm gonna run this so we can see what it looks like, right? Sorry about the craziness on the screen. I'm gonna try to even this out. Oop. Open a live server. Cool. All right, so what we have is like the basic setup for like a website, you know? We have a header. We have a main box where we can put some text or maybe an image. And then we have a box down here for other stuff, you know? It could be like blog posts or whatever. It doesn't really matter what it is. It just more matters about placing the images down, all right? Is everybody able to see the code that I have on your own computer? Don't worry about looking at Zoom. I'm going to talk through the code, and that's the reason I typed it out. All right. So let's look at the code and let's understand how it's read by the compiler, right? So how do we read? We read from like left to right, but we also read from top to bottom, you know? So when we're coming down as the compiler, we're going, oh, okay, this is an HTML document. Cool. I know what to look for. Okay, this is the beginning of HTML. Okay, this is the body. Now I'm going to start displaying images, right? And then we have this first div. I called my first div container. It contains everything in my code. A lot of people do this as a practice so that they can write easily replicated code. Think of this div as the body almost, but as a div. Next, we have a div called navigation, which is this bar right here. Then we have an unordered list full of links, which are these links right here. And an input, which is this input right here. We have a div named hero, which is the center div right here. And we have another div below that, which is called post row, which contains posts. All right. So now if we open up the CSS, it's a lot of CSS. We can see the corresponding styles for each div. Is this helpful for anybody? Anybody see my screen now? So let's look at this. Cool. Okay. So let's look at this class container. We have a container right here, right? With a flex direction of column, with a width of 100. So you notice how it has no set height. That's because it grows depending on the items that I put onto it. So let's say I copy this and I duplicate this, right? Now it's grown to hold 2 of these. Flexible styling is very important. All right. Okay. So what about we walk through this code together and I will call on each one of you and ask you questions about this code. Is that okay? All right. Sabrina, what is the flex direction of class nav? And if you can't figure it out, let me know and we can walk through it step by step.
Is it row?
It is row. Cool. Ryan, I'm going to give you a little bit of a harder question. What is the list style for the ID of nav links?
Not too sure.
Okay, no problem. So let's find nav links inside of the HTML, right? It's an ID, right? So we're gonna start walking through our CSS for a ID, which is a hashtag, remember? And then we'll find the corresponding one for nav links, which is right here. Then we go down to list style, and we say it has a list style of none, right? So I have a, yep, basically is none. There's a lot of styles here. I know it's probably really confusing for you, but I want to go through. Is there a control F or feature for HTML? Yes. Yeah. It's not that I don't want you to use that though, Matthew. You can use it, but for this example, let's just try to walk through the code and try to understand how it works. That's the most important thing that you're going to learn as a programmer, is that you're not going to automatically know how someone else's code works. You have to walk through it and understand what they were thinking when they wrote that. Sometimes they were crazy and they didn't write it right. Sometimes it's written a long time ago and you have to figure out how something was written, you know? So let's look at the CSS and let's look at some of these newer concepts that I've thrown in here, all right? So we see this one right here, right? Is everyone seeing that? Nav links greater than sign LI. Does everybody see that? Cool. What that means is that inside of the ID of nav links, which is right here in the HTML, there's going to be list items or LIs. And those LIs are going to get a style according to this. Okay? We also have something called pseudo commands. So see how I have an ID of links, then I have a colon and a identifier of hover. What this means is that every time I hover over links, the color will turn to this color. So if we go back to the live server, sorry about that. Every time I hover over these, did I break my code in some way? Yeah, sorry about that. Every time I hover over them, they turn to a different color. All right. There are a bunch of different pseudo commands and different selectors in CSS. I can't teach you all of them, but I can give you resources so you can choose the ones that you need to have, right? Finally, I just want to go over some really basic concepts of HTML that I should have probably gone over earlier. I just want to open up this PDF that I made. And look at my PDF. Okay. Okay. So let's think of this as the body. Too much stuff. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so let's think of this as the HTML that I just wrote, right? It looks very similar. We have the nav. We have the hero section. We have the posts, the post row, and the posts. All right. So all these are sitting in similar rows. So now when we look at, let's look at it like this. So this is the body here, the gray. It's the bottom element. Inside of the body, we have different elements such as the container, the nav, the hero, and the post row, right? Inside of some of those, like the post row, this bottom div, we have other divs, and they are nested on top. Is everybody understanding that? I should have went over this earlier, but this kind of a basic concept, and I kind of got lost in the sauce. This is all in the PDF that I sent you. Yes, like a layer, Matthew, exactly like a layer. Everything is nested inside of another tag. So the more nested you get, the higher the layer is. All right, think of it as a cake of HTML. Finally, I think that's enough for this week. I want to go over one last thing with Git. Did everybody kind of get the concepts that I laid out here? Could I trouble you guys? Can we try to have a project that we do every week? It's not hard. It's not like really going to be due. It would be helpful if you guys do a project by yourself. I want you guys to take the PDF that I gave you and make your own version of that in HTML and CSS. I think that's very doable. It's not a hard project at all. And I'm going to show you how to upload to GitHub. And all you have to do is send me the Git link, all right? So let's open up a folder. And let's open up the file that let's open up the folder that we were working on before, okay? Has everybody got that? Let me know when you're all at the folder that we created before in VS Code. Okay, good. All right, so we're going to open up the terminal. Okay, and let's go over some quick. It's not in the, no, it's in the Git repository that you just downloaded. No, you're good. Don't worry, man. Okay. So is everybody at this screen right now? At the terminal? Cool, cool. Sabrina, Hazley, Max? Cool. Okay. So I want to go over some quick things real quick with the terminal so we understand what we're looking at. So if we start from the left, this will tell us where we are in our computer, all right? So right now it's telling me that I'm in my school folder, in the coding club folder, inside of the folder that I made last, which is 10/13/21. So everyone's should not be the exact same as mine, but it should end with the folder that they created last. Okay? Has everybody got that? Cool. All right, so now we're going to write a command called git init, okay, and press enter. And it says initialize empty Git repository, and then it lists where it is inside of the directory. Has everybody got that so far? Has everybody got the exact same thing that I got? Cool. Did everybody make a GitHub? Okay. So everybody made a GitHub. Okay. So now we're going to say git add period mark and press enter. Nothing will show up after. Just write git add. Then we will write git commit dash M, and this M stands for a message that we're gonna put along with our Git. All right. So we're gonna say started project, and then a closing quotation mark, and press enter. And then you can see how it says master root commit, started project, 2 files changed, 54 insertions, create mode, blah, blah, blah. Okay. What this is doing is adding all of these files to our Git. All right. But our Git, I might have to refresh this. I'm gonna sign this now. GitHub. Okay, now everybody go to their GitHub account, right? Is everybody at their GitHub account at this page? Yes, yes, yes. Cool. All right. Now we're going to say create repository. You'll see this exact page. Let me know when you're there. Message. Good.
When we was in the terminal, you wrote git commit dash m started dot project.
Oh, wait. Okay. Do you see where I wrote? Yeah, I'll type everything in the chat. That's the first command. Actually, well, I'm sorry, let me start over. To initialize a project for a new project, we write git init. All right. Then if we want to add new things to our Git project, like say we made changes, we want to write git add period. All right. Then if you want to commit those changes to our GitHub, we're going to write git commit dash M, and then we're going to write in quotation marks like a message for ourselves to help us file through all of our commits. So if we go back and look at our commits, we can see which one was on what date or what we did at that time, and it helps us file through our commits easier. Okay.
All right, got it.
Cool. So we're back at the create repository. Everybody's there, right? Except I don't know who that was talking. I'm sorry. Is everybody good? I can move forward. Okay. So we want to put a name on this repository. I would say name these things something that is easily like you can look at the repository name and you can know exactly what it is. Don't name it anything crazy. Don't type in random letters. I would say coding challenge. That's a little too much. Coding club week 1, right? You can put a description if you want. Make sure it's on public, and say create repository. Okay. Is everybody there? Cool. All right, so we're going to copy this line, git remote add origin, https github.com/your username, and then coding club week 1.git. All right, we're going to copy that, and we're going to paste that in our terminal down here. Oop. Sorry about that. And then we're gonna say git push origin main. When you do this, you're gonna be prompted to sign in. Actually, the reason I'm not going to do this is because I'm already signed into my GitHub and I'm using a different GitHub account to show you guys this. But so paste this last command, git push u origin main, and it should prompt you to sign into your GitHub account. Let me know when you guys have done that. You got an error. What error did you get? What error did you get? So you pasted it inside of the go to push refs. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys. I forgot you have to make it the main branch. So you can do this command here. Then you're going to do this command below. And I'm going to sign out of this just to show you that it works. Let me know if it works, guys. Okay, cool. Cool. Let me just open the VS Code. Okay, now if you refresh the page, it should show all your code there that you've written currently. And I know you're probably saying to yourself, there's a lot to remember. But the thing is, you only have to do that every time you set up a project. Okay, so now this is a project that I have already initialized in my GitHub repository, right? And now if I wanted to add new stuff to it, all I have to do is write git add, git commit -m, put a message, wrote hello, and then git push. Oop. And now if I go to my git, so remember we wrote a hello right here. And if I go here to my, well, first of all the git commits are right here. And then my hello is right here. Is everybody getting that? If anybody's lost, let me know. We only have 6 minutes left of this meeting. Sorry, Joffrey. Again, everybody, if you need help, this is my user tag on Discord. You can hit me up at any time. All of you know that. Anyone who's talked with me, you can message me at any time. I've literally had conversations at 2 o'clock in the morning. Just try to figure out stuff by yourself before you come to me. It's really important to figure out your own problems. Like I said, next week, I'm not gonna check your